Hi guys, welcome to the ToughCess podcast. It's your girl Summer, and this is ToughCess, presented to you by Summer Speaks. And I'm here to sadly say that we are wrapping up this season. Honestly, I'm so sad. But you know what? It's been amazing, and we're gonna go through all the episodes and what we've learned from this season of ToughCess. It's been an amazing journey exploring the different success stories of different people, understanding the different angles to success, and I'm really happy with the outcome. Let me know what your favorite episode has been so far. I'm going to go through each one and what we've actually learned from each episode. And yeah, and stay tuned. Make sure you're subscribed. If you're listening to this podcast on Spotify and Apple, please leave a rating. I would really appreciate that. So yeah, anyways, let's just get into it. So, the first episode that I actually uploaded was the episode with Sarah. Sarah is absolutely amazing. As you guys seen from that episode, she brought all the vim, she brought the energy. She was just herself, and she told us her tough cess. And her tough cess had a lot to do with, her finding herself, her struggles with mental health, her struggles with body confidence and everything. And I think the reason why it resonated with so many people is because we have so many pressures of today when it comes to social media, when it comes to, people comparing themselves to others, body image, all this different stuff. So her story was really relatable, and I felt like it really did touch a lot of people. And even the fact that she's in a completely different space now, it shows that you can go from A to B. You can transform yourself, you can get yourself to a better level if you really commit yourself to it. And that's what I really loved about her story. Her story really taught us how to pick ourselves up even when we are down, even when we are going through our mental struggles, even when we are, you know, feeling all these pressures. She went to uni and she didn't like the course that she was doing. How many of us have gone to uni and didn't like the course that we were doing? Not me, because I do love psychology. But, some people have gone to uni and they didn't like what they were doing, or maybe they're living a life under the shadow of their parents and they feel like they can't come out of it. And she still kind of, went through with it, but she was honest with herself. She ended up doing makeup instead, and it's nice to see that you can start off somewhere and end up somewhere else based off how you actually feel, not just what people are telling you need to be, or how you need to be, or trying to live a life that pleases others, but living a life that pleases you, most importantly. So that's what I took from her tough cess, her journey, her struggles, her how relatable she was, and the key thing she said as well.
Someone else's opinion of you is none of your concern.
Period.
It's not your responsibility.
It's not.
They can go and fight their demons at home.
Exactly.
Don't
Exactly.
care.
It really isn't. Whatever you choose to do with your life, it's because it makes you happy. It should be because it makes you happy. It should be because it pleases you firstly and foremost before it pleases anyone else. And that's why I loved her story, And she also said,
You know how people say practice makes perfect? I heard something the other day that says that's complete bull. Practice doesn't make perfect.
Yeah.
Practice makes improvement.
Right.
But you never hit perfection, because once you get better, you work to become better than that.
So just because, okay, you're doing something and it's not going the way you want it to, doesn't mean you're not getting somewhere with it. You're improving as you're going. Some people, when they start something, they don't finish it because they feel like they're not worthy of anything. It's like going to the gym or whatever. You go there one day and you're like, I'm still fat. And you give up. But she teaches that practice makes improvement. It doesn't make perfect. Nobody's perfect, and she shows that in her story, and that's why I really loved her story. So yeah, that's Sarah's episode. Make sure you guys check it out. If you guys haven't listened to it, make sure you go check it out. The second episode that I uploaded in this season was with the amazing Amina K. We love, love a businesswoman. We love a woman that, puts her money where her mouth is, does what she needs to do. And her episode was all about rebranding, redefining, and refinding yourself. Sometimes we go through a journey of life where we have to rebrand, we have to refine ourselves, we have to figure out what works for us, what's not working for us, and re-strategize. And she teaches us that there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with starting something and it even being successful, it being a successful business, it being something that you put all your energy into and then decide that you want to change it, that you want something different. There's nothing wrong with refinding yourself. And that was what I loved about Amina K's episode. It was about being confident in the steps that you make, in the decisions you make. Everything is about decision making. Whether we make poor decisions or the right decisions, it's up to us really. But it's important for you to have that conviction in you to make that step, to be bold in the decisions that you make. And, she started off having an amazing business. It was called Inside Out Store UK. She had accessories, everything. And it was actually doing well. People knew about her business. People were purchasing. People actually, seeing how much effort she put into it. And at its peak, she decided that she wanted it to rebrand. And she started something completely different, which she's still yet to launch. She's going to launch soon. So make sure you guys, keep an eye out for that. She started something completely different. And that was at a risk. But risks are okay, everything comes at a risk. If you don't put in risks, you don't get a reward. And that is what she teaches us in her ToughCess. She also teaches us that, you'll go through different stages in your life. When it comes to rebranding yourself, it's not just about rebranding something that you've started, your career or your business, but also refinding who you are as a person. Sometimes we create things in seasons that where, we're growing, or maybe in seasons where we're letting go of things, or different seasons of our life. That's when we choose to create certain things. And after that season has passed, maybe that thing does not suit us anymore. For example, some people redecorate their house depending on what the season is saying. If we're in a cold season, they will put the fire on, and make the house really cozy, etc. If it's summer, it's bright, etc. So I think it's important to know what season you're in when you're creating certain things, and being okay with letting go of that thing when you've passed that season. She's in a different season in her life and she's chosen to embark on a different journey, and that's okay. So this is what I learned from her ToughCess, that it's okay to kind of go through different motions, to accept that you're going through different motions, to accept when you're down as well, and being able to pick yourself up from them down moments. Because she has had a couple down times. She's had times where she didn't really know where she was going or what she really wanted, but she still kind of went through with it. It's about trusting yourself. And a key thing that she said in that episode was, every delay, there's a reason for it. So just because something is delayed doesn't mean it's not going to reach you. Everything is about timing. And sometimes delayed gratification is better than instant gratification. Sometimes that thing that you're waiting for, that you think you've not achieved it yet, it's taken time to get to you. Maybe there's a reason why it's taking time to get to you. Maybe God is preparing you for something greater. Maybe in that time, that delay is preparing you to achieve what you need to achieve in the best way that you can. Are you prepared to get to them heights? Are you prepared to make the money that you want to make? Are you prepared to gain the success that you wish you want to achieve? All these things come into why delays occur sometimes, and there's nothing wrong with it. Sometimes we complain and we question God and we start saying why, or why is it taking long? But you need to ask yourself, are you prepared enough? Are you prepared for the thing that you're praying for? So I think that was a key thing that she mentioned in that podcast that I really took from, and it really resonated with me, because there have been times where I've been praying for something, thinking, God, when you know when you go on TikTok and you're seeing like these couples and stuff and you're like, God, when? Even when you go in the comments, you're just seeing everyone doing up, oh, please God, oh, this and that. It's so funny. I find it hilarious. But everyone kind of everyone goes through a period where they're like, God, when? Even though we shouldn't question God. We do sometimes question why there's a delay in certain things when we shouldn't. Life is about timing, and everyone has a different time. Everyone has a different time when they're gonna reap the fruit of their labor, or achieve whatever God has written for them to achieve. And sometimes it's just about being patient. That extra level of patience can go a long way, and you can learn so much in that time. So sometimes when you're going through something and you're thinking, God, when? Sometimes you need to ask yourself, am I ready? Am I ready to achieve this thing? So yeah, that's what I took from episode 2 with Amina K. Again, if you've not listened to it, go and check it out. It's on Spotify, it's on Apple Podcast, it's on YouTube. Go check it out and let me know what you think as well. So the third episode that we went through on this ToughCess journey, trying to explore the different angles to success, was with the amazing Garcia Brown. But I put an episode by myself first because I felt like we needed to, just get a bit intimate. We needed to kind of put the guest aside for a second and try to bring me into the mix because, I have my own tough sessions as well. And I like to share my own, wisdom, my own advice on certain things. And in this episode that I did by myself, I was speaking about focus, how important it is to focus, how it's important for you to hold the vision and trust the process. Sometimes we are, we're trying to get to a certain place, but we're worried. We're like, are we actually going to go? Are we going to get there? Or there's many obstacles in our way. We have distractions. But if you maintain that focus, you achieve what you need to achieve in due time. It may not come straight away, but in due time it will come. So this episode, I was really speaking about focus. I was speaking about, the importance of focusing on yourself firstly and foremost, because you can't pour into anything that you want to achieve if you are not pouring into yourself first. And if you are not making sure that you know where you're going, you have a destination in place, you have a plan of how you're going to get there, holding that vision and trust in the process. I spoke a lot about, isolation, the importance of isolation, the importance of removing yourself from distractions, removing yourself from the outside world, unplugging from the world and plugging into yourself, because that is the way that you will be able to find yourself, find your purpose, get to where you need to be. And that's why I really wanted to speak about that, because I went through a season of that and I spoke about it in the episode. A season of loneliness, a season of finding who I was, a season of basically being by myself to kind of elevate myself. Separation is for elevation sometimes. It's not always because you want to be horrible or you don't want to talk to people or you're just like, pushing people away from you. Sometimes that time by yourself is necessary in order for you to gain the strength to get to where you need to be. And a key thing that I mentioned in that episode was you need to be willing to die to the person that you was to become the person that you want to be. And I'm going to repeat that. You need to be willing to die to the person that you was to become the person that you want to be. What did I mean by this? You need to let go of who you was, who people thought you was, or who you kind of basically presented yourself to be at a certain point, and welcome the new you. Be prepared to be different, be prepared to let go of things, to let go of people. And child, I am still bloody on that journey. It's not easy, it's not easy dying to the person that you was, because that's our comfort zone, that's what we're used to, that's what makes us feel safe, because we know it's worked for us for so long. So why should we change it? You know what I mean? But you're literally limiting your growth because you're stuck in a certain time. You're stuck in a certain body of yours. I was watching Chucky Online today, and he was saying something about how, I don't know, someone was saying like how, he had an argument with someone when he was 13 or whatever. And the person was like, no, he said to the person, go and find the 13-year-old me and deal with it with him, basically. And I thought that was funny because he's right. Like, that person no longer exists. And sometimes when you're growing, when you're evolving, when you're trying to find yourself, people will say, oh, you've changed. You're different now. You're not the way you used to be, etc., etc. And that's okay. You're not here to please others. You're not here to basically satisfy the perception that people have created in their head of you. You're here to develop yourself, to get to the next stage. And if people don't understand that, they're not there for you. So I thought that was quite interesting because, yeah, like if you've had an issue with someone a couple of years ago and that person wants to come and address that issue, they are addressing an issue with a different person. It's no longer you. And that's what I'd like to hope anyway. I'd like to hope that you would want to have evolved, to have become a different person, to not be the same 13-year-old or the same 16-year-old that was arguing with that person. So you need to be willing to die to the old you, to let go of who you was to become the person that you need to be. I mean, I always use the analogy of the butterfly. It was once a caterpillar and it had to die to that in order to become the butterfly, basically. So sometimes growth is necessary. It hurts, it's difficult, it's hard. Sometimes you lose people, sometimes it's painful, sometimes it's lonely, but it's necessary, and that's what that episode was about. All about focus, 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 focus. And it's a tough cess because, like I said, the journey is not easy. You're going to find many struggles on the way, but you will thank yourself for it one day. That leads me on to the next episode that I was speaking about, which was Garcia Brown, my amazing sis. Whoop, whoop, whoop. If you've not watched that episode, go and check it out. It's all about her journey into acting, finding herself, sticking to a goal. And that's what I really admire about her story. I really admire the fact that she stuck to a goal. She wanted to be an actress. She's seen herself as it. She envisioned it. She embodied it, and she did it. This girl is now on billboards. This girl is at awards. She's recently been nominated for Best Newcomer Award. So if this episode comes out before it, please go and vote for her because she really does deserve it. The Soap Awards will be soon. I think it's like end of September. So yeah, please go and vote. I'll put the link in the description box. So yeah, she teaches us that when you have a goal, even when people try to diminish that goal, even when people don't see you as worthy of that goal, continue trying to strive to achieve that goal because you believe in yourself. You know you're worthy of it. If she had listened to everyone that tried to bring her down or to tell her that she wasn't going to be an actor or she wasn't going to be an actress or let the rejections get to her, she wouldn't be the person that she is today. Now she's acting in Hollyoaks. She is Zoe Anderson in Hollyoaks. She's doing amazing things. She's getting her bag. And that is all because she was determined. Sometimes you have to ask yourself, how bad do you want it? And if you don't want it bad enough, is that thing for you? Sometimes you do have to ask yourself, am I actually even in it the way I think I'm in it? Is this for me? And that's how I feel about her story. I feel like she really taught me personally to stick to something. If I really want it, stick to it. Don't let anybody bring you down. Like she said in her episode, she spoke about how people see the power that you have and they try to diminish it. So they'll tell you, oh, you can't achieve it or you can't get there, etc., etc. She described people as energy vampires. And that is true. Sometimes we do have an energy vampire that is trying to suck out the life out of us or just try to drain you of your joy or drain you of, what you can achieve, where you can get to. And honey, you got to tell that energy vampire to bye. to get away, to go. Because no, like, you don't need people like that in your life. As soon as you see people trying to diminish you, there's nothing wrong with constructive criticism or, gaining, just learning from people. But there's a difference when it's like people are trying to bring you down and etc. She teaches us that you shouldn't, and that was her tough cess. Along her way, she's heard many no's. She's gone through so many different things. I mean, in the episode, if you listen to it, she spoke about how just before she got this opportunity with Hollyoaks, she actually auditioned for another soap and they rejected her. And she was genuinely at that point like, is this for me? She kind of she was really upset about that. But it was still something where it was like, no, I'm going to keep going. And that final push got her to where she needed to be. Imagine she took that last no and just ran with it and was like, yeah, that's it now. I'm not going to be an actor. This is not for me. She was one step away from being the person that she is right now. And this is just the beginning. So what is stopping you? If you're going through something and you've not achieved it yet, or you've been trying at something for years and years and years, if it's YouTube, I don't know, anything really, like, don't give up. In other words, don't give up. Just keep going, just keep going. So the next episode in this amazing season of ToughCess was with Shay, our model and pharmacist all in one. She taught us a lot of things in her ToughCess story, and I loved doing that episode with her. I was proper tired that day. It was Ramadan. I was actually fasting. It was breaking fast time, and I was looking at the time. I was saying, "Yay, I need to go and eat. Me and food, please. I need to go and eat," but I couldn't eat, so we had to complete that episode first, and then I could eat after, basically. But her episode was amazing. She taught us that you can balance two things at once. You don't have to sacrifice one for the other sometimes. Sometimes you can balance the two. Sometimes it's not about, having to choose one. Sometimes you're good at multiple things, and it's about how you kind of navigate exploring both things. So she does modeling and she's a pharmacist. And pharmacy is intense. She had to go to uni, she had to do a master's, etc., etc., but she still did it, and she found herself into modeling. And again, similar to Garcia's story, people tried to kind of bring her down, like,
the girl that I was dealing with, she wasn't very nice.
oh gosh,
she really wasn't nice, and her attitude was like, she was like flicking through my photos like, I wouldn't book you.
wow.
She was like, most companies have all their curvy girls. They don't want to expand. Your look is too glamorous, etc. And
Wow.
it wasn't nice to hear.
But she didn't let that get to her. She kept going, and she's doing her now, and I think it all links to the fact that you shouldn't really let people's opinions affect you. If you really believe in something, or if you believe you're worthy of something and you're that girl, who is anyone to tell you otherwise? That's what you believe in yourself. And it's all about belief, self-belief, self-love, loving who you are. And that's why I got her onto the season, because I felt like she really does kind of embody self-confidence, being comfortable in your own skin, even when people think otherwise, even when people say, oh, like, you're not good enough, or they already have all their models or whatever. She's still seen herself as that girl, and she did get her bookings. So it's all about kind of believing in yourself, loving who you are, loving your journey. And she's from an Arab background. She's had to kind of like go out of the norms to be herself, and sometimes that's all it takes. It takes that bravery, not really worrying about, okay, how are people gonna view me, or what are people going to say, but more about, how do I feel, and am I doing what's right for me? That's sometimes all that matters. So that was her episode. This season was amazing, guys. Please, like, if you're listening to this, go and check out the season. Go and subscribe to my channel. Go and like all the episodes and share with your friends, because I've learned a lot. And as I'm going through each episode that I've done in this season, I can genuinely see that like people have learned a lot. People have reached out to me and said how much it's impacted them, and that's why I started the podcast in the first place. It's bigger than me, you know. There are people that really do benefit from these episodes, and that's what I want to continue doing. And I'm glad this season has gone the way I wanted it to. Obviously, we have some room for improvement, but that's life. Anyway, moving on to the next episode. The next episode was with the amazing Dabs Salim. He will kill me if I keep saying Dabs, even though that's his Twitter handle name. Who sent him? But yeah, like it was with Salim, and he shared a story that really touched a lot of people. You know, he came from Africa. He had to separate with his mom. His mom was in France for a little bit, and well, still is in France, and he was living with his auntie and uncle, and it wasn't a pleasant experience for him. He had to go through a lot of things, and I think it's just about what you consider as home. I think when you're somewhere where you don't feel at home, it's difficult for you to kind of grow and like find yourself and etc. It is difficult because you're gonna feel like you know you're not wanted and stuff, and he really did go through the motions, and he took us through the journey with him. You know, in his story he spoke a lot about what he went through, times when he didn't have anything, times when he had to depend on others to help him. And I learned so much from his story, guys. I learned so much. I learned that first of all, it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to ask for help. It's not every day try to be hyper independent. It's not every day try to pretend that things are okay. Sometimes things are not okay, and this is life. Like life, you know, balance, you know. And if you do not get people to help you, sometimes you'll be stuck in a certain place, you know. And he really did teach me that it's okay to ask for help, and it's okay to express your emotions, you know. He went for a lot, you know, trying to find accommodation. You know, he was kind of homeless at a certain point in time, you know, going from one place to the other, one friend to the other. And it must have been hard for him, but he still persevered. He still kept going. And he had patience, beautiful patience. And we spoke about that in the episode. We spoke about patience. We spoke about the importance of patience. We spoke about how you know you need to have beautiful patience, and beautiful patience is not complaining too much, you know. Trusting God that things will get better, that your situation is not forever. And it teaches us that when you're going through something, don't despair in God's mercy. You know, he has a plan for you. It's just a matter of time. And again, preparing you for greatness, preparing you for good things, preparing you for things that are to come. That is what it taught me, because, you know, shout out to Salim. He's graduated now. Whoop, whoop. He's doing his thing, and, you know, his story, he has a story to tell at the end of the day. Sometimes, you know, when you come out of a situation, maybe the only thing you will gain from it is a story to tell. And that is okay. You know, you'll get to the next chapter, and you'll thank yourself that you went through all them things. You know, there was a key part in his story that I think touched a lot of people, which was
sometimes in sixth form not really having money to buy lunch, having to ask. I don't really. There's not something that obviously at that time you're like, there's no other way. I have to do this way. So if I want to eat, otherwise I'm gonna starve the whole day. So it was hard, but you know, again, being patient, I had to, you know, be patient and just do what I had to do. Sometimes, astaghfirullah, may Allah forgive me.
yeah.
I had to steal the lunch from the canteen sometimes just so I could eat.
Wow. No one deserves to go through that, you know, or even just not feeling at home, just feeling depressed and everything. But he still had faith in God, you know, he still kept going, he still kept persevering. He never seen his mum in a bad way. He appreciated his mum, and he understood and he had empathy. And I think that is so important in a person, to understand, to have clear communication with the people around you, to allow yourself to be vulnerable. That is what his story teaches me. You know, being a black man in the UK, it's not easy. Sometimes the odds are against you, and sometimes you're forced to do things that you don't want to do. He never fell into that temptation. He never felt like he had to go and do them things. He always trusted in God. And I think that's what that episode really does teach me, that through your tough cess, trust in God, that his plan is greater than all plans, that you will get to where you need to be with patience, beautiful patience, you know. So if you haven't listened to that episode, please go check it out as well. It is an amazing episode. He really did open himself up to us, you know, and let us into how his life has been, which I thought was amazing. And I think a key thing as well that I took from that episode is your beginning doesn't have to be your ending. You know, just because you started at a certain point doesn't mean you'll end at that point. And that is why it's so important not to look down on people, guys. You know, when you're going through something, or when you see someone else going through something, not to look down at them, because you don't know where they're going to be tomorrow. You don't know what God has got in store for that person. Your beginning is definitely not always your ending, you know. So it's just about having that hope, having that perseverance, having that bravery, having that courage, the trust in God, and just keep going, you know. And that's what his tough cess screams to me. Keep going and you'll get there eventually, you know. Moving on to the next episode in the season, we had Osvaldo. Osvaldo came to us with a story of, you know, entrepreneurship, building his own brand, you know, having this idea from like college days and bringing it to life. You know, sometimes it starts with an idea. It starts with you having a conversation with someone and then being inspired and then, you know, going from one step to the other. But one key thing he taught me in that story, in his tough cess, was that you sometimes are teaching people to do something when you're not doing it yourself. Oh, God. Me, I'm triggered even saying it because, honey, I have a whole podcast called ToughCess. And I'll be doing Summer Speaks videos talking about topics that sometimes I struggle to practice myself. I'm telling you guys, I'm being very honest. There are times where I'll be telling you guys, yes, you can do it, XYZ. Meanwhile, I'm there, I'm crying to my friend like, oh, I can't do it. It's too much, you know? And I think he teaches us that sometimes you have to realize when you're teaching someone to do something when you're not doing it yourself. The reason why I say that is because his brand, it means value yourself. So I think it's a word that he said. It's in, what language is it in? Portuguese. So it says it means value yourself. But he said he was telling people to value themselves when he wasn't even valuing himself. Deep that, guys. You know, sometimes we are telling people to do something when we're not even doing it ourselves. We're kind of being hypocritical. Sometimes we have to kind of look at ourselves and look at how we can improve ourselves, and then pour into others. And obviously, it's fine to share wisdom. It's fine to give advice to others. 99% of the time, people give advice to people and they don't take their own advice. You know, I mean, who's guilty? I am. You know, but I think it's really important to kind of identify when you are doing that and to try see how you can improve yourself to kind of better yourself before you help others to better themselves. So I thought it was quite interesting how even though he was building a brand, he also identified the fact that he wasn't valuing himself, and he needed to value himself in order for others to also value themselves. And he now shows that through his clothing. You know, he takes pride in his clothing. He takes pride in the products that he makes. He talks about how, you know, the basically creating a brand is not just about clothing, but how you make people feel and how people feel when they wear their clothing. So I thought his story was quite interesting in that aspect. Again, go check out the episode if you've not checked it out. It was a really good episode that we filmed that day, and it was a nice conversation because seeing someone from a certain point and then seeing them achieve the thing that they said they wanted to do is so beautiful. So, you know, I know him from college, and just seeing his growth, it did really make me happy, and still does make me happy, you know, that he's doing his thing. So yeah, guys, if you have an idea, bring it to life and always think to yourself, am I practicing what I'm preaching? I think that's the key thing that I took from his episode. moving on, we are slowly wrapping up. Oh, this season's been amazing. Moving on swiftly to Mods. Mods' episode. Can we just give a shout out to Mods, honestly, because he is amazing and he's doing great things. Um, and I'm really proud of myself with that episode because we did reach over 1K views on that episode. Woo. We love to see it. It's growth, we love to see it. But yeah, Mods is an entrepreneur. Mods is, a millionaire, shall we say. And he owns an amazing business. And what he taught me through his ToughCess, his journey, was that it's okay to take risks. It's okay to go into things and not even plan it. Sometimes you find yourself in places that you didn't even plan. Sometimes it's okay to do that. It's okay to kind of give things a chance. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. He literally just happened to see people standing outside a store waiting for a shoe release, and he had no idea what it was, not knowing that that was directly tied to his destiny of becoming the person that he is right now. And he just thought, you know what, let me give it a chance. These people are standing out here. At first he thought it was lame, but he then gave it a chance, and it made him the person he is.
But back then, what people don't realize is I had to put in a lot of hours doing that. But that's what I'm saying. The passion was there because I would happily sit outside the store
knowing
for
what you'll get.
days. Honestly, people would walk past me doing the same thing I did to my friends, saying this is sad. Honestly, like we would have abuse. A lot of people would abuse me, like, what are you doing? This is really, really sad, etc. Which I understand. It doesn't look great when people are sat outside a store waiting for a shoe to come out. I completely understand it. But I put in those work and I actually enjoyed what I was doing.
Yeah.
I think that was the big difference. And the fact that I enjoyed it, I couldn't care less what anyone had to say.
I think there's a lot of things that we can learn from that story. One being that sometimes you're looking down on someone's, journey or their story, but you don't understand it. And that's why you're looking down on it. Maybe if you understood it, it would actually help you as well. And that is exactly what happened with him. He was looking down at these people that were sat outside a store waiting for a shoe release, not knowing that that would literally be the business that blows for him. So again, you can't judge people and you can't look down on people because you never know what your story is going to be. Never say never. So that is one thing that I learned from his story. Another thing that I learned from his story, and this is quite different because it's not even like him, but his parents, he spoke a lot about how his parents supported him whilst he was growing, whilst he was finding himself and etc. And they really wanted him to be successful. Obviously, they had their own idea of what success is, but they still supported him nonetheless with the things that he was doing. And I think it really brings me down to importance of positive parenting. Honestly, guys, your childhood shapes your whole life. I don't care what anybody tells me. I've studied psychology. My whole dissertation was on cultural differences in parenting and how it impacts attachment styles in adult relationships. And honestly, I found out so much about how much your parents' parenting style can affect you. And just hearing how supportive his mum was, how supportive his dad was, and just his parents in general, it really did show me that we do need like a good, healthy environment for us to grow. Sometimes it's not just about you on your journey by yourself, but the people around you. Who is watering your plants whilst you're not there? Who is helping you to grow? Who is feeding into your idea? Who is basically taking your idea as if it's their own and bringing it to life? Who is your tribe? And I think it's so important to find that out because that can be the difference between you going from A to B. Just the people around you, whether it be your parents, whether it be your siblings or your friends. I'm talking about parents because I feel like that's so important. And if you feel like you don't have that relationship with your parents, it's not too late. As long as you're here, there's hope, and you can always have a conversation or just try to kind of open a discussion with them. Or if you do feel like it's too late, how can you be that person for someone else? How can you be a good person, to pour into others, to help others reach their destiny as well. You know, in Mod's story, he talks a lot about how people helped him. You know, when it comes to the shoe release, you can be there all you want by yourself, but if you have others around you, at least it will make you'll gain more profit. Everyone eats, right? You know, it's not just about you eating, but the people around you as well. And he talks us through his story about how he kind of employed people to help him, and etc etc. And it just shows you do need people. You know, as much as you like to think that you can do this life on your own, you cannot. You do need people. You need people around you. You need people to help you grow. And that's what I took up from his ToughCess story, you know, that you need people and you can take risks, and sometimes they won't work out and sometimes they will. And the times they will, you'll be thanking yourself for that. So yeah, I really appreciated Mod's story. Again, go listen to the episode. Moving on swiftly, and honestly, everything I'm saying about Mods does directly link to the next amazing episode that I had on the podcast with the amazing guest Kimoy. Kimoy is honestly, I love that episode. Even though it was short and sweet, we're gonna have to bring him back maybe for season 2. um, I really do appreciate him because he is like a mentor, and the fact that he was someone that I met when I was only 14, 15, you know. I met Kimoy and I was so shy, and I really was like worried to even like do anything, because he has this youth group called Kaizo, and I used to sing there and everything, and he really encouraged me. And I think what his story teaches me is that sometimes your purpose is to fulfill the purpose of others as well, to help other people reach their purpose, to help other people reach their destination. Sometimes it's not just about you, once again, linking to what I was talking about with mods. Sometimes it's not just about you. Sometimes it's also about you helping others and how you can pour into others, how you can help people get to the next stage. And sometimes that is your purpose, you know. It's like there's an analogy that I heard a while ago. I think it was from Haley Melenda. She was talking about how sometimes God puts things in you for you to feed others. For example, a woman that breastfeeds, you know, like literally that milk was made for someone else, to help grow somebody else, to help grow another being. You know, sometimes God puts things inside of you not just for you but for you to pour into others, and that is what Kimoy's story teaches me. And again, a story of your beginning is not your ending. Just, you know, he came from Jamaica. He was kind of troublesome at school at the beginning, and now he's a whole head of year in a school. Now he's a youth leader. He's doing amazing things. Your beginning is not your ending. It's all about how you see things and where you want to go and how bad you want success, how bad you want to get to the next stage in your life. That's all it is, you know. So I really appreciated that episode. I thought it was really good. It was short and sweet, but still took some gems from it, from his ToughCess. And moving on swiftly, unfortunately, we're wrapping it up. We're wrapping it up. So we went to the next episode, you know, which is a bit more sad, I guess, but not at the same time, because we learned a lot. This episode was me by myself. I didn't have a guest, and the next 2 episodes, really, they're not really. I didn't have any guests with me, but still a lot to learn from what I was saying in them episodes. So the next episode was about dealing with loss. That episode was tough for me, but I'm so happy that I did it. And honestly, so many people reached out to me about that episode, about how they were touched by that episode, how much they learned from that episode. And, you know, some people that are dealing with grief, some people that are dealing with losses and didn't really know how to navigate it. And that episode kind of helped them. And it just teaches me that, you know, sometimes you think you're not doing anything, but you are. You know, you are helping people, you are impacting people. Sometimes it's just a word or something that you say that can touch someone in such a way that you can't even imagine. You know, that episode was difficult because I was sharing a vulnerable side to me, not me crying on big YouTube, like never again, by the way. But it was nice to kind of open myself up to you guys and show you that actually I'm doing this tough sex journey with you guys. You know, I have a tough sex story. That's just one of them. You know, dealing with the loss of my brother, dealing with grief, how I navigated my losses, not just with people, but in general, if I, you know, lose friends or a career or whatever, how I've kind of dealt with that. And it was such an important topic for me to bring up because everyone deals with loss. You cannot knock on anybody's door and them not tell you they've not dealt with loss. Everyone's dealt with it in one aspect or the other. So it's important for us to know how to deal with emotions like that. You know, how do we grieve loss? Because it can literally break you down if you allow it to. But a key thing, a very, very key thing I mentioned in that episode was I've learned that you truly, truly, truly do not possess anyone. You only experience them. You don't possess people, you experience them. People are an experience. He was an experience for me. That will always be one of my favorite sayings. You do not possess people, you experience them. Nobody's your possession. Everyone's just an experience. And the quicker you know that, the more peace you get in your life, I think. Because you see people as an experience. When people come, you let them come. And when they go, you let them go. That is life. You're going to lose people, whether it be through death or whether they just choose to leave your life. You're going to lose people. And how you deal with it is what helps you get to the next stage in your life, helps you transition swiftly onto your next chapter, you know. So that was an important episode for me. And I felt really empowered after that episode, you know, letting out how I felt, how I dealt with it. And even listening back to that episode, I was like, yeah, girl, you really did the doing things. You really spoke facts, you know. Even though it was emotional for me, I can't lie. It's a bittersweet topic, but it was still nice to share that side of myself to you guys. And we have finally made it to the final episode. Final episode. This episode was about being intentional. Being intentional, guys. Being intentional about your joy, being intentional about your happiness, being intentional about your growth, being intentional about the people around you, what you want to achieve, where you want to go. Just being intentional is so important. And that's why I had to speak about that. You know, it's not really, I mean, is it a tough cess? Yes, it is a tough cess. Sometimes we do struggle with it. Sometimes we'd rather just go with the flow because, again, we'd rather be in our comfort zone. We'd rather stick to what we know, you know. And we sometimes, being intentional, it can be kind of scary. For example, you're intentional about the people that are around you, so you don't allow other people in that circle because you're trying to preserve your space. You're being intentional, you know, but sometimes it can be kind of nerve-wracking. But it's important, it's necessary. Everything starts with intention and follows with action, you know. If you're intentional about things, you're more likely to get it done. You know, you have an intention to do something or to be something or to achieve something. You're more likely to get to that stage if you just pour yourself into it. And I felt like that's why I needed to do that episode. And it leads me why I even started this podcast in the first place. I was intentional. I knew what I wanted to achieve. I knew what message I wanted to bring out to the people. I knew what I wanted to do, and I did it, you know. So when you're intentional about things, you're more likely to do it, and that's why I really wanted to speak about that. And that wraps up the season amazingly. You know, this season has been amazing. It's been my first season of ToughCess. I really hope you guys have enjoyed all the amazing guests that I've had on board, all the amazing stories that you guys have heard, you know, the lessons that we've learned, the things that we've gone through together as a collective. Like I always say, my brand, Summer Speaks, is all about building, bettering, and becoming. And the reason why I'm so passionate about it is because I'm on the journey as well. I'm going through it as well. I'm building myself every day. I'm bettering myself. I'm becoming the greater version of myself. And like, I can't do it by myself. I need people with me. I need to grow with people. So it's just been an amazing season. Obviously, I always think there's room for improvement, and trust me, season 2 we're coming hard. But I'm not even gonna get into that. We'll get into that when the time comes, you know. But this season we're wrapping it up. Please go catch up on all the episodes. Go check out what you know we've said in the season. You know, the lessons that we've shared, the stories that we've told. Go check it all out and let me know. You know, let me know if there's room for me to improve, you know, things that I could do differently, things that I could bring into the episode, things that I could introduce onto the seasons. And yeah, I just hope you guys have enjoyed it. And I think what I just want to kind of wrap up this video with is just be you, do you, and do it unapologetically, guys. You know, whatever you want to do, just do it. Even if it's one person viewing that thing, honestly, you're making an impact on that one person, and you know that is something. So don't look at anybody else's journey, look at your own journey, focus on yourself and stay in your lane, because one day you will get to where you need to get to. And honestly, guys, this is just the beginning. We're only just getting started. So yeah, this is to an amazing season of amazing stories with amazing people sharing to amazing people. And all I can say is watch out for the next things that we're going to be bringing onto this channel, onto this podcast. And yeah, I hope to see you guys all tuned in for the next upcoming seasons. But for now, we're saying goodbye. Not for too long, but we are wrapping it up. So yeah, guys, it's been a pleasure. Again, we are building, bettering, and becoming. Please do subscribe, like, share, leave a rating, and let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. So yeah, that's ToughCess Season 1 closed. See you guys in the next one. Bye.